Welcome back to another episode of the All It Takes No Whiffs podcast. I'm Alex, and that's Christian, and we are coming at y'all with our last boxing episode of the year. We'll be taking next week off, but we got a special one for y'all this week. And before we get started and get into it, make sure y'all like, make sure y'all subscribe, and make sure y'all turn on notifications to know that when we post new content. But for this episode, we are going to be going through our own pound for pound top 10 list. This is a very, very special episode because we have been wanting to do this for a while, and I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah, no doubt looking forward to this one. Nice way to end off the year to give our thoughts basically on what changed in the boxing scene. And I'm looking forward to getting into this because it's interesting, no doubt. Before we get into our highly anticipated pound for pound list, just a quick recap from last week. Michael Rivera against Frank Martin. Frank Martin dominated that fight, and he's up next in out of those two prospects. That's really all I have to say about that. But what really matters now, not to say that we're talking about the only relevant boxers, but the most relevant boxers in the world, the best fighters, regardless of weight class. We got our pound for pound list. After a year of boxing that had a bunch of ups and downs, a whole lot of things shifted. No longer is Canelo number one. That happened a while ago. And that I feel like at that moment that really shifted the scene for the pound for pound list. And even though that there are definitely still very familiar names that have been on the list for some time, the orders they've definitely been mixed up this year. That's undeniable.
Oh, yeah, and there are some new names that are creeping up onto that list. Some guys that we're really high on, and I'm really excited to get into this. I'm really looking forward to making this list. So, Christian, why don't you go ahead and start us off?
All right, we're gonna be counting down from 10, and for my number 10 fighter in the world, I've got Shakur Stevenson. Shakur, he's on the path to number one. That's the only reason he's at 10 right now. Still early in his career, still young. So he's going to be on this list for a while. It's just a matter of his positioning. And as of right now, it's 10. But after this year, obviously, he could shoot up a couple of spots. But he's on the path. And I can't wait till the day that Shakur is rightfully known as the best fighter in the world.
Oh yeah, I mean, I agree with you at this spot. I think Shakur. My bad, I keep on saying Shakur, but um, I think he's there too. I think this is actually a guy who is going to end up being number one day. He's that good. You can go back and watch any of our previous videos on previewing his fights and recapping them. We both think that this guy is just one of the best in the world and definitely deserves to be on this list. He honestly could be higher, but I
Mhm.
think 10 is just about right now for him.
Oh, no doubt. Honestly, there's the cases of people on this list that I would say Shakur's a better fighter than skill wise. But when it comes to accomplishments and things like that, there's just a couple of factors that I feel like have made me put a couple of names over him. And honestly, number nine, my number nine pick is a perfect example for that. I've got Devin Haney at nine. Devin Haney, king of 135. Uh, to speak on him and Shakur a little more, I do think Shakur is a better fighter. Devin Haney is undisputed at one of the most important weight classes in the history of boxing. So that on top of the fact that Devin Haney can hold his own against anybody around his weight, um, I think his skill set is second to none. Obviously, we've said our opinions about his power and stuff like that, but if he's succeeding, the way that he is, I don't necessarily see us putting his power as a disadvantage when it comes to making this list because straight up, this dude can fight. A lot of people don't like the way he does it, but he gets his shit done.
No, he definitely does, and I am agreeing with you on the first two. I think Devin Haney, number nine too. I mean, you said everything. He's undisputed. Definitely should put him above Shakur. He's fought more too. The power, I mean, it's probably never really going to be there for him, but he doesn't really need it, to be honest, just because he's
Mhm.
that good. He doesn't get hit too often. So I mean, it's not really more too much to say about him. I mean, you said it all basically. So I mean, yeah, I got or not Shakur, I got Devin Haney at number 9 too.
Yeah, I feel that, and he's definitely similar to Shakur in that he's gonna be higher on this list, with time,
Definitely.
without a doubt. But for my number 8 pick, I don't wanna say arguably because I feel like it's kinda obvious, the most dangerous man in boxing, Artur Beterbiev. That's my number 8 pick. It's just different. The way he punches, it's a different sound compared to when anybody else connects with a punch, to be honest with you. It's not often that you see a guy, who breaks down opponents the way that he does, and he's done it in very big moments. He did it in a unification fight against Alexander Zodvik. Excuse my pronunciation if I got that wrong, but Artur Beterbiev, up against another world-class fighter, just he dismantled him. He broke him down to the point that it was almost sad to watch for, Zodvik because he was punished, and Beterbiev does that to all his opponents. Hasn't heard the final bell in one of his fights. 100% KO percentage. I don't think there's too much to say. Watch a little bit of Artur Beterbiev fighting, and you'll understand why.
I actually have him a little higher on my list.
Don't
But for
blame you.
number 8 for me, I have Jermell Charlo. I really like Jermell Charlo. He's got a solid record, only has 1 loss to his name, and I just have this guy over Shakur and Haney right now just because of, really just they're young and they're rising. Haney really doesn't have too many less fights, professional fights than Charlo, but, he just got to undisputed. Charlo, he's been around a while, so I'll give him the edge for right now, but, I'm looking forward to see where Charlo is gonna be going for next year. Not really sure if he has a fight yet, but whoever he fights, it's probably just going to be a banger because I really like the way this guy fights.
I feel that. Jamel Charlo, I'm definitely a big fan of his too, and that's why I actually have him at number 7. Jermell Charlo, another undisputed champion in boxing. He's undisputed at junior middleweight. And I'm going to be honest with you, Charlo's path to undisputed, it was wild. It was deep. He fought Brian Castano twice, the first fight being a draw that really could have gone either way. And then coming back in the rematch and stopping Castano in the fashion that Charlo did it, it was amazing. And like Alex mentioned earlier, he has 1 loss on his record. He redeemed that loss by defeating the person who beat him, and just his path to undisputed at 154. He went through some dangerous fighters and came out on top. So I don't have much more to say about Charlo other than he is elite straight up. Honestly, could make a case for him being at number 6. I don't know about top 5 though. Top 5 is a different tier.
I honestly feel like Charlo is so slept on, to be honest. I
Mhm.
see him not in a lot of top 10 lists, and it just kind of blows my mind that you don't have someone who's undisputed in the top 10, to be honest. But I mean, everything you said, perfect. I mean, this guy deserves to be in the top 10.
Charlo is for sure slept on. I could not tell you why, to be honest, other than maybe he doesn't have the most promoting, I guess you could say. I don't.
That's got to be it.
Yeah, and even then, I feel like as somebody who follows boxing, I do see plenty of Charlo, but to the casual fan, he's definitely slept on. Honestly, I think what it would take for him to stop being slept on is to him get a big fight, like a really big fight, say like a Triple G. He moves up to middleweight, fights Triple G, does well in it, and that's amazing coverage right there because people are gonna watch that for sure. So I don't know exactly what would it take for Charlo to get the recognition he deserves, but it's definitely overdue.
No, yeah. I mean, that would be a great fight, to be honest, too. I'd love to see that. But to move on for me, I actually have Artur Beterbiev here. Oops. I have him at number 7. I mean, What more can you say about that? I think Christian said everything you need to say about this guy. This dude's got some raw ass power.
It's
Um,
different.
it's absolutely different. I mean, when you hear him punch people, like Christian said, I mean, it's a major thud, and it hurts me just listening to it. And I'm just at home watching it on TV, so I can't even imagine what these guys are going through when they're fighting him. But I'm really looking forward to him this upcoming in 2023. See if he can keep that perfect record and see if he can keep up climbing up on this list because I think that's exactly what he's going to do.
Yeah, no doubt. Uh, there's a couple people higher on this list that we would love to see them in the ring with
Mm-hmm.
him, but as much as we'd love to see that fight, those fights being made, I kind of feel bad for those people. Even if they ended up winning that fight, they're hurt. If you're gonna fight better Biev, you're gonna get hurt. That's all I gotta
Oh,
say.
big time.
Yeah. But for my number 6 pound for pound fighter in the world, I have Dmitry Bivol. Yeah, the guy who beat Canelo back in May. Um, this guy could fight, man. I really love watching Bivol fight because he's so disciplined, so sharp. He's really smart with how he fights because he does what does best. He doesn't overstep it ever. He doesn't give his opponents opportunities to counter often, and he's just you could tell he like exudes discipline and like focus. Bivol is one of the more focused fighters I've ever seen, more focused athletes I've ever seen, to be honest with you, because it's just when it comes to his publicity and all that stuff too, it's all about boxing. And somebody who lives boxing, it shows. The dude beat Canelo Alvarez at the time. Canelo was number one on this list according to most people, and yeah, Bivol is that guy. That's what I got to say about him. Number 6 for me.
Oh no, Bivol, great fighter. A little higher on my list. At 6 here, I actually have Errol Spence Jr. Um, if he was a little more active, I know he's had a car accident and some other things happened throughout the past few years. So he honestly really probably should be in the top 4, maybe even 3,
Hmm.
depending on how the fight with him and Crawford would end up. Please make that shit happen. I'm gonna keep saying that, but I mean, there's not really too much more to say about Errol Spence. He's one of the best fighters in the world, and we just want to see him and Bud Crawford get in the ring. That's 2 guys in the top 10, really in the top 5 in most people's, but I have him at 6.
Yeah, I don't blame you. Yeah, it's just hard to make this list in general. So if somebody's like a spot or two off compared to what the general consensus is, whatever. Let them
It's our
complain.
list. Who cares?
Exactly. For my list, though, a guy that you just mentioned, Errol Spence is at 5 for me. Earl Spence Jr. Then I'm not gonna lie, a big factor towards me putting him at 5 is ability alone. I love the way Spence fights. His work rate is insane. He's nonstop throwing punches, and not just that. It's he's throwing punches with intent often. Uh, Not that he's trying to like one punch knockout with every punch he's throwing, but he's looking to do damage. Works the body really well. I I, I really like how he's a southpaw, but he's not the traditional like slick. I'm gonna try to box around you southpaw. He's gonna bring it, and I've got him at 5. Honestly, he would definitely. He has a case. If he were to beat Terrence Crawford, to be honest, he could shoot up potentially to number one. That's how big that
Hmm.
fight is.
I think he probably would, to be honest.
Yeah, because it's the biggest fight to be made in boxing. Crawford, consensus top 3. So that he would have to at least be in the top 3 and arguably number 1 because defeating an opponent like Crawford would be different. But as of right now, though, since they don't want to make that fight for some odd reason, Spence is at 5.
Yeah, I mean, Spence may not want to make that fight after how good Bud looked in his last fight too. No rust there. But I mean, still make it happen. I want to see it happen. But number 5, I had who Christian had at number 6. I have Dimitri Bivol. I really, really like this guy. Was not too familiar with him before this year, to be honest. But after that Canelo fight, I mean, he really opened up my eyes to him. His defense absolutely unreal. Canelo could not land anything on him. I've never seen Canelo so frustrated in the ring before. Um, and I mean, I really want to see this guy fight again here soon. I'm waiting for it to happen. But Dimitri Bivol, I honestly think this guy is probably gonna push up a little higher on this list this upcoming year. For sure. He's one guy I think who may crack into the top three.
Honestly, for him to get into the top three, and I agree for sure, he would have to beat Artur Beterbiev. Those are the two kings at 175. I
I
know I
want to see
mentioned a
that
couple
so
of
bad.
names. Yeah, I mentioned a couple of names that are a couple of people should fight Beterbiev. One of them should not because of his test against Bivol that didn't turn out so well. I'll get into that. But yeah, for Bivol, in my opinion, to shoot up to the top three, which is very possible, I think he needs to beat Beterbiev. It's similar to the Spence Crawford situation.
I honestly think probably whoever win that fight would push up to the top three, to be honest. I mean,
Yeah,
both in the top
whoever
10
for sure.
already. So, I mean, let's make that happen. We got two guys or four guys in the top 10 potentially fighting each other next year. That would be awesome.
It would be. And for my number four guy, I I just mentioned how he shouldn't step in the ring with him. The former pound for pound number one fighter in the world, Canelo Alvarez, is my number four pound for pound fighter right now. Uh, Canelo is he's an all time great in my opinion at this point, and he's just looking to climb up the ladder of all time greats. Even though I call him an all time great, he's got a long way to go to be considered like one of the actual greats of boxing. And I don't necessarily know if he could reach that, but he's already done amazing things in this sport. Um, and yeah, the fact that he's still sort of on top of his game, he had a nice bounce back against Triple G after the Bivol loss, but Canelo, I feel like has a few more good years in him left, and he's still going to be making some of the biggest fights in boxing. I'm looking forward to seeing how the rest of his career unfolds because all-time great fighter in my opinion. But real quick, yeah, this is the guy I was talking about who should not get in the he should, but he shouldn't get in the ring with Beterbiev because like if he were to somehow win that fight, that you know how much stock that would add to his resume. But at the
Mm.
same time, I don't think he's going to win that fight. I don't think he'd be okay after that fight. So like if you had to choose Canelo, please rematch Bivol.
No, yeah, and I have Canelo at the same spot. I have him at number four. Like you said, this dude could end up being one of the all-time great boxers. His record's absolutely ridiculous right now. I think he has over 60 career
Mm-hmm.
fights or close to it, which is absolutely insane because he's really not that old either.
It's
So
like
he's
31,
he could
32.
yeah, he could push that up to close to like maybe even 80 career fights, but uh, had a good showing against Triple G, like you said. I really don't want to see him back in the ring with Bivol. I don't think it'll be the same result, to be honest. Better Biev, love to see that, see them fight each other. Honestly, don't think it would be a good result for him, like
No.
Christian. But I mean, this dude Canelo, he's one of the most marketable athletes in the whole entire world. A little fun fact about him, he's really freaking good at golf. I did
Mm-hmm.
not know that, but this dude is really good at golf. So if anyone cares about that, um, but I'm really looking forward to seeing Canelo back in the ring. I know he's got a little downtime with injury right now, but I did see today on ESPN Ringside that I wouldn't really say he called out John Ryder, but I mean, basically said that he would take John Ryder in a match since John Ryder just won his previous fight. And I mean, Canelo's probably going to win that fight pretty easily, but it's just another fight for him to get back in the ring. So I'd love to see that happen. But get healthy first.
For sure. Yeah, that seems like an appropriate fight for the first fight back after surgery. But I'm not necessarily interested in that fight. But it seems like an easy fight to make. John Ryder, I'm pretty sure he's with DAZN. So Eddie Hearn could get that done. He does plenty of business with Canelo. That's very possible that that could happen. But yeah, for my number three fighter in the world, where we are in the top territory now. Top three is different. If you're in the top three for pound, you got a case for being the best fighter in the world without a doubt.
And honestly, I think all three of these guys have a pretty good case that we're about to go through.
Hell yeah. And it's honestly hard to make this top three right here, but mine was recently solidified. I will say that for sure. But for my number three, I've got Terrence Bud Crawford. Skill wise, you could say best fighter in the world, and I would not be mad because he's different. There's a thing I have. I love switch hitting boxers. The fact that Bud fights orthodox and southpaw, mainly southpaw, love that. Um, Skill second to none. His style, counter punching, and just his precision and really solid power. Love that. And I I don't have too much to say about Bud other than I feel like a big part that carries him in this in this tier list is his skill and ability. Because yeah, Bud has accomplished a good amount. He's been undisputed at 2 weight classes, but the names, to be honest with you, Bud would be undisputed number one if he already fought Errol Spence and beat him, and just had like another name or two. He would already be solidified number one. But unfortunately, that has not been the case. And I'm still leaving room. If you beat Errol Spence, if Terrence Crawford beats Errol Spence, that's number one fighter in the world right there to me. I think that's what would solidify and make his resume appealing enough that I could for sure say that he is.
No. I mean, everything you said is absolutely spot on, and I have Bud there too at number three. This dude is one of the best skill fighters in the entire world. His defense very good. Technically, he's very good. Quick hands, really good power. It's what really separates him from some of these guys. Like Bud's last fight, I mean, he looks so good. I mean, David Aviasanya, solid guy, really good power. Actually connected a few times onto Crawford, so it was nice to see Crawford eat some stuff. But I mean, this dude's just built different. Love the trash talk from him at times. And actually, there was a video I saw from him. I can't remember whose fight it was in, whose fight it was, but his corner came up to him and said that he was down, and it was like the 10th round, and he thought he was up.
Sean
And
Porter.
Sean Porter, it was a Sean Porter fight.
Yep.
Yeah, and you know what happened right after that shit happened?
Turn that shit on.
He turned up, and I mean, he was a completely different fighter. And I mean, this dude, he can flip the switch quick. And I mean, when I saw that, I was just like, yeah, I mean, this dude's just built different. I mean, this is why he is one of the top three, arguably could be number one for pound in the world.
Has been in that position before. So like when that's the case and he hasn't taken a loss, it's definitely justifiable to say that he's number one. But as of right now, I want to see him beat my number 5 guy before I could say he's number one.
Exactly.
But for my number 2 pound for pound fighter in the world, the monster, the real monster. Sorry, Edgar Berlanga, you're not even close to this freaking list. Like what? Naoya
Nowhere close.
Inoue. Naoya Inoue. That's the monster right there. That dude weighs 118 pounds on fight night, and his punches compare to better BF. I don't want to put him at that level, but it compares. The way he dismantles his opponents, the way he gets them to the body. Well, the thing that stands out to me the most off the top of my head from Inoue is the body shot he caught Donaire with in his first fight. Because to be honest with you, he could have got the stoppage right there. The ref didn't start counting until Donaire took a knee after he ran around the ring for like 5 seconds, running away from Inoue after a nasty body shot. Yeah, Inoue is different. Even dude, I'm damn near. I'm like 190. I don't want to get touched up by a guy like Inoue. I don't care if he's 118. That shit's gonna hurt. But regardless, Inoue, as much as I'm gassing up the power right now, technically amazing. His precision, amazing. My favorite thing about Inoue on top of his power is how short his punches are. Like the distance that or yeah, the different distance that he covers with his punches is so minimal, but there's so much packed into it that it's different to watch. And Inoue for sure could be number one very soon, in my opinion. I think he would have to step up in weight to 122 and beat Stephen Fulton if he hasn't moved up by then. So that's one of the biggest fights in boxing to be made, and I think that's what would be a career-defining moment for Inoue and what would make him the pound for pound king. But as of right now, still, even if he's not my number one of my favorite fighters in the world, no doubt.
Oh no, I mean I absolutely love a new way. It was honestly between one and two, I had a very, very difficult time coming up with it. All three of these guys in the top three have fought recently, which has honestly made making this list a lot easier. But for number two, I have Oleksandr Usyk, and I mean this dude is just the heavyweight king right now. Sorry,
Mhm.
Tyson Fury, it's not you. You are,
Sorry, not
pl-
sorry.
yeah, you're playing with everyone, saying you're retiring, unretiring, taking a Chisora fight, saying you want to fight,
Fighting Terrence
saying
or
saying you want to fight anyone but Usyk. I mean, that's really kind of like the Spence Bud thing. It's really the only fight I want to see for Usyk right now is
mm,
Usyk Fury. He's already fought everyone else. Both of them have already fought everyone else. So I mean, let's make it happen. But I mean, Usyk. I mean, for a big guy, this dude moves pretty good. His defense is really good, solid power. I just really like Usyk. And it's just very different from a heavyweight. You usually don't see them that quick and nimble.
yeah, for sure. And Alexander Usyk is my pound for pound boxing king. I've got him at number one. I don't blame you for putting Inoue over Usyk, but honestly, Usyk has accomplished so much in the sport already. This has nothing to do with the pound for pound ranking, but one of the most decorated amateurs of all time, Olympic gold medalist, and undisputed cruiserweight champion of the world. That when I'm talking about paths to undisputed, like the names that you face, you can compare him to Jermel Charlo. He faced some killers on his path to becoming undisputed at cruiserweight, and after that, moves up to heavyweight, gets all the titles but two, beating Anthony Joshua with ease twice. Yeah, nah, Usyk, he's different to me. Like with how coveted the heavyweight division is, I know a lot of people don't like to include heavyweights in pound for pound lists, but I really think Usyk is a special exception because he did dominate in another weight class, and that's kind of the premise of pound for pound. Regardless of weight, how would your style and how would a fighter succeed, regardless of weight? If you put them at 130, if you put them at heavyweight. And Usyk, I think, exemplifies that. To be honest, Alex mentioned it. His style, it's a really favorable style. It's entertaining to watch while being very, I would say, appealing to the purist, in my opinion, because it's the way he boxes. It's a sight to see. But he's never run. And Usyk, as of right now, he's about 35 in that range. So I think he's holding on to number one right now. He could be overtaken, to be honest with you, because outside of Tyson Fury, who else is going to boost his stock? So I think that's something to look forward to in his future. But as of right now, that's the best fighter in the world in my eyes.
Oh yeah, I mean, I really don't blame you. It was hard coming up with one and two, to be honest. Bud at three, I think, is solidified, but one and two is very difficult for me. But for my pound for pound number one, my king right now is Naue Inoue. And sorry if I mispronounced your first name. It's very difficult. Not really, but um, I absolutely love this guy. I mean, one of my favorite fighters to watch right now. He's super entertaining in the ring. He does everything great. Um, Good defensively, power, absolutely elite. Christian said it earlier. Do not want to get hit by this guy, no matter how big you are. It doesn't freaking matter. You could be the biggest person in the world, and it's still gonna freaking hurt you. I don't care. That's
He
just
could
how.
be. you could be 300 pounds, and if he
Yeah,
catches you with a liver shot, that your liver's out. Sorry.
yeah, you're done. You're done. But I really, really liked what I saw in his last fight with Paul Butler. It's because he went longer, and that's not because Inoue was going to end it quick. It's because Butler didn't want to fight him. But uh, like Christian also said earlier, he wants to see him fight Stephen Fulton Jr., and I would love to see that too. A lot of people actually have Stephen Fulton Jr. in their top 10 pound for pound. I would put him a little outside that, maybe at like 12 or 13. But that's a fight I'm really looking forward to. Inoue actually said that he will move all the way up to featherweight. He thinks that's as far as he can go, which is 126. He fights at 118 right now, or a little lower than that, but it really depends on how he comes in. But I mean, this dude is absolutely raw, one of the best talents in all of boxing right now, and I'm excited to see where he goes in the future because I mean, to be honest, he's already undisputed. I mean, he's got to move up, in my opinion. So, I mean,
Mm,
who wants to fight this guy is the thing, is my thing. You don't see you honestly, I don't think anyone's ever called him out that I can think of.
I can't recall a call out, but the thing is, I know that Stephen Fulton would for sure be up for that fight. He's a dog himself, and
Hmm.
like that's just one of the biggest fights in boxing, in my opinion. But I'm not gonna lie to you, Alex. When it comes to Inoue, um, it is a little disappointing to hear, even though I understand that he's got a limit on how far he can go up. 126. I understand though because he did start his career at 108. I'm pretty sure
Hmm.
he had like a relatively solid growth spurt that made him skip a weight class, but still, when you're starting that low, you can only add so much to your frame before it starts being a negative. So I definitely understand where he's coming from. He's probably already checked with his nutritionist and all that good stuff, and they've probably got an idea of how far he can push it, and I respect it. But it's just unfortunate to hear that maybe he couldn't touch 130 one day, but you never know. At the same time, I don't want to count that out.
I think he possibly could, especially if that 130 weight class is popping like it is right now. I think he wherever he goes, he's probably going to dominate. So, good luck to whoever has to be in his path because after the last few fights from him, Donaire and Butler, yeah, no one wants to see him. No, he's going to knock everyone out. He only has, I think, been the distance 3 times, if I'm remember correctly. So, I mean, dude's got some absolutely raw power, and I love seeing that in a fighter.
Yeah, real quick, like you mentioned, he's only gone the distance a couple of times. One of those times, as I mentioned earlier, he should have got the stoppage against Donaire in the first fight, but you know,
It's
boxing
fight of the
happens
year,
sometimes.
so
It was his fight. It was fight of the year, but I felt like that would have been the perfect cap off, and I think that wouldn't have taken away, to be honest with you.
no, it would have made it better.
Hmm. But yeah, regardless of who's at what position, these are all the best fighters in the world, straight up. These guys all deserve huge credit. They've done amazing things in their career, and they're going to be doing plenty more. A certain few of them just need to get in the ring with each other. And Tyson Fury, stop holding Usyk up from greatness, even though he already is great. That's all I got to say.
And that does it for another episode of the All It Takes No Whiffs podcast. We had another great, solid boxing episode, the last one of the year for us, giving y'all our top 10 pound for pound list. We had the same 10 people, just with maybe a little different order, but I think we can agree that all of these guys are the top 10 in the world right now. But before we get out of here, make sure y'all like, make sure y'all subscribe, and make sure y'all turn on notifications to know that when we post new content.
And for any of you who feel like I'm a clown for my list, you can go ahead and talk your shit on any of our social media pages. You can find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, all at ATNW Podcast. And if you want, talk shit to me personally at my personal Twitter and Instagram at Christian_S52.
And you can follow mine at AND2215 or let me know what y'all think too. I had some Padres fans up in my DMs the other day, so I really don't care.
But last boxing episode of the year, 2023 is going to be a good year for boxing. I don't want to say hopefully, I'm speaking that into existence. I'm looking forward to it. But until next time, guys, peace.
Peace.